So talking about section 1, paper 1, which is an issue for students in preparation because it's very difficult to work out what type of text they're going to choose, and also lots of past papers have text unavailable to you, and it's a difficult one to navigate. And so you say to yourself, what is it that I need to do to make myself be as confident as I can be for this particular section? Because in the end, it's a section that essentially is giving the answers away because the texts are there right in front of you. So if you go in there naturally with that process and you say, all I need to do is deconstruct these particular texts that are in front of me, you should be confident enough for it. But how do you prepare? You prepare by going to this rubric. And today we talked about the fact that if we look at this second paragraph, and really it is the first bit of information about the rubric of discovery, it can give us an insight into the type of texts they will choose. Let us concern ourselves with that particular concept. Now here we say discovery can encompass the experience of discovering something for the first time or rediscovering something lost, forgotten or concealed. Okay, that's a very broad statement. That doesn't really help us in saying or picking the type of text that we can do. Okay. The second thing we sort of see is we go, okay, discoveries can be sudden and unexpected, or they can emerge from a process of deliberate and careful planning evoked by curiosity, necessity, or wonder. So we say to ourselves, we'll have stories that have a sudden discovery, stories that have an unexpected discovery, or stories that have an emerging discovery. And each one of those then has, or the emerging discovery comes from process, and that process is evoked by curiosity, necessity, and wonder. So what we deal with here is we say, okay, I find that my texts that I will be getting will have sudden or unexpected discoveries or emerging discoveries. There's my two groups. Sudden and unexpected, I can kind of work out what that means. The other one, emerging, I look for the language of curiosity, the language of necessity. Necessity comes out of need, of course, or the language of wonder. Now, you'll probably find that most of the poems and the images will be about wonder. Some of the short stories will be about wonder and curiosity, and lots of the non-fictions will be about necessity and or curiosity. Nice, isn't it? Discoveries can be fresh and intensely meaningful in ways that are emotional, creative, intellectual, physical, or spiritual. So now we're dealing with intensely meaningful. So look at that word intense. That word intense goes to the crux of the language. You must look for the intensity of the language. Is it playing with the intensity of sentiment and idea? They denote emotional, creative, intellectual, physical, spiritual. It can be all of these things or one or two of them. So when you're reading the text or coming to expect it, you ask yourself that question as you're going, what type of discovery is this? Is it a creative one, an intellectual one? And that way you're foreshadowing the question. You're thinking about the process of what is being said in this text. But then you have these two fantastic terms, confronting and provocative. Something that is confronting and provocative is forcing an emotional response in the reader and or an emotional response in the protagonists, antagonists, and participants of the text. So they're not easy texts, they're difficult processes and concepts. So your text will have those connections. They're the type of text that you will expect to see. You can break them into two categories first, and then they have these sub-categories that are highlighted. My advice to you is to write all of those words down that I've underlined on a card somewhere and get to know them intensely. They are your words for section 1. They are your words for section 2 and 3 as well. But section 1, you know you respond, using these words. You're looking for a word? I will use confrontation. I will use provocation. I will use an emotional discovery as a phrase. Keep that in mind. Then the response comes down to an individual's discoveries and their processes of discovering can vary according to personal, cultural, social, historical context and values. Now the individual can be you or the participant protagonist voice in the text. And when it is the voice in the text or the participant, you must consider the context. And the context will be difficult to discern in a short text, but there should be enough there going on for you. Discoveries can be transformative. And you've got individual or broader society. Transformative. We are looking for you to point out where the change is taking place. You make that clear. You are on a winner. Okay? Discoveries may be questioned or challenged when viewed over from different perspectives, and then you have ramifications of discoveries. Okay? Finally, of course, you're dealing with this section here in your response. By composing or responding to a wide range of texts, students make discoveries about people, relationships, societies, places, events, and generate new ideas. Students deepen understanding of the concept. So you deepen your understanding of the concept of discovery in each one of these particular subcategories. It's really important that you keep at all times involved in that part of the rubric. Finally, of course, the rubric will tell you about what you must do when you respond to this information. So it says here, your responses and composition, students examine, question, reflect, and speculate on own experiences of discovery, experience of discovery in and through their engagement with texts. That's key to answering quiz section 1. How the concept is conveyed through representation. How the composer's choice of language does what it does. And in these ways, exploring the concept of discovery may broaden and deepen. So really, these two ones here are about the way in which you answer the question. Okay? How the concept of discovery is conveyed through representations of people, relationships, societies, places, events. So you make that decision again. Is it about people? Is it about relationships? Is it about society, places, events, ideas? Okay? And then the second thing you do is discuss choice of language, modes, forms, features, structure, shapes, representations of discovery and discovering. So how does the language work? So it's the first part of your response here, and this is the second part of your response here. Okay? That is the most important thing to remember when you are responding, that you have both of these occurring. Here is the broader part of it that the question's asking you to do. That's what the question will ask. That's what you answer. So when we look at your half yearly, and I'm concerning myself with the questions here, you're dealing with the things that come from that rubric. How does the advertisement represent its attitude to the discovery shown? Attitude, discovery. So I say, okay, I have 2 marks. What do I write? I write how the concept of discovery is conveyed through representations, and that first one was the rhinoceros, so it's provocative. How the composer's choice of forms and features, so I discuss this stuff of image, deconstruction. 2 marks. That is how you think. Second one's 3 marks. How does the extract second section emphasize the uplifting nature of discovery? So I need to think about a few more things than just the one idea, maybe 2. And I think, okay, uplifting. What are some of the words from the rubric that are related to uplifting? And so I think about, here I've got something like, look at this, intensely meaningful. I've got emotional. I've got physical and spiritual. Lead us to new worlds and values. Speculate on future possibilities. This is the stuff of uplifting language. So I talk about and I use that word. I might say something along the lines of, sorry about that there. I may say something along the lines of, extract provides meaningful, intensely meaningful emotional transformation in terms of discovery. It does this by, and you think about language that might be uplifting or something of that sort of way of thinking. And then each time that you go, you do the same thing until you get to the last question, which is always that mini essay. And you say to yourself, I must answer this in terms of a broad perspective. I create my thesis. Then I think about the text that I have to talk about, which is text 4. I think about the other text, and I might have a paragraph for each point, and I'll have 3 points, 6 paragraphs. This is the way into this particular part of the exam. Stick with this area of study rubric.